This is my 20-gallon setup base. As you can see, the Java fern is very prolific. We had a lot of problems with it at first because when they're at the factories they're made at or grown in, they're air grown. Any plant goes from the air underwater is going to start melting. Now you can kind of see, where is it? Right here, this is melting a little bit. That's going to happen. Just clip it off, pull it out, and it won't make extra nitrates. Now this is the one I change about once a month, and you can see, hold on a second here. Hey shitheads. It's a fucking mosh pit in there. There's hundreds and hundreds of fish in there. Some of them are actually probably about anywhere from 15 to 20 generations inbred. And we get some defects occasionally, but they die off and get plucked out, and that's it. I have a fairly deep substrate. That's about a 1-inch substrate. It's caused problems in the past because the thicker the substrate, the less circulation it gets, and then it can be hydrogen disulfide bubbling out, which is poisonous, but it had too much problems as long as you don't disturb it. I run a bubble filter here, which is usually good enough. This one isn't really very good, but it does a little bit of something. You will need a bubbler in there somewhere to add more oxygen into it, because during the daytime, with the light, the plants produce oxygen. At nighttime in the dark, they deplete the oxygen in the water. As you can see, I've got quite a bit of algae buildup on this one, although the guppies do take care of that mostly. There's one snail in there that eats some of it, but that algae helps get rid of ammonia and some of the nitrates. Don't worry about the nitrates like everybody says. I've had some of my tanks up to 200 parts per million before I had any problems whatsoever. That's about it for this. Oh, no, let me get back up into here. Now, I just scrubbed this one down, but you can see a lot of the algae I have built up in here. That's good. This is the BioBall setup. As long as your filter's not overflowing, let it go with the algae. Okay, and moving on, we got Miss Buzzsaw. Say hi, Buzzsaw. Hi, Buzzsaw. This one's only a few months old, and I cannot get the plants to grow in here because there's not enough ammonia or nitrate in here. These are her guppy buddies. I only have males in this tank for the simple fact I don't want them breeding in there. I want the nitrogen cycle to stay stable as much as possible. It was covered in algae last week, but we got some snails and they completely cleaned it off. Oh, you gonna come out and say hi now? Boop. If you do get too much algae in your tank, these little snails here, which I don't know if you can see them well, these little tiger nerites, they eat the shit out of algae. They completely clean this whole 75-gallon tank in a matter of a couple of days. I'll have to pull one out before they start starving to death. Now this is the rainbow mosh pit here. You can see the sides of the tank are just completely, it's actually looking kind of clean compared to what it was a week ago. I keep a lot of algae in there because there's a lot of fish in this little tiny 10-gallon tank. I only clean this out about maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks. And I try to let as much of the fish poop as I can stay in there because these plants just love it. These plants wouldn't grow in any of my other tanks. As soon as I put them in here with a higher ammonia or the higher fish concentration, ammonia and nitrates, they just started flourishing. Now I do have a shrimp in here too, but he's hiding. This is another easy one to take care of. The Panagita. They come as little bulbs, you just drop them in and they grow. You will have leaves start melting off occasionally. Just clip them, pull the leaf out, and just let it go. The more algae, the better. Coming around to the backside, you see all that fish poop built up, and the plant roots are just eating it up. Now it's a little unsightly, and you don't want it showing, but you dumb guppy, stop eating your poop. Show off. I kind of put it all in that corner so it made a little whirlpool and it all collected there as much as possible. They love it. You do want to get your plants in the substrate though. That will help them out in the long run. Now you will see on that red one there, it's got a bunch of little roots coming off it. They're called air roots. That's usually a sign of a deficiency, but I'm noticing there, when it's doing that, it's in a good state and growing well. Recently put a few more other little tiny plants in there. They're only a few weeks old and they're booming too, but I don't expect them to do too well because it's a little crowded in there with them. Big things, do not overfeed them. You can feed guppies about once every 2 hours, but you only need to do it a couple flakes. I do mine twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening. About a third of a